Hello. It's been a couple days since I've been with a video, but as many of you have seen on the channel already, I had the honor of commentating the Ottawa Materia Cup, but that's not fully the story. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at these deck lists. So this is the Red Dragon Materia Cup. It was see if we have under all tournaments the number of players 56, so relatively small for Materia Cup. And hate to say it, or I guess happy to say it, but Knights have now won a Materia Cup somewhere that wasn't Australia. Which, I mean, makes sense. The deck is very good. Even when it is telegraphed, especially going first, sometimes this deck is just very difficult to play around. And, I mean, as far as Knights lists go, this is pretty normal. So there's a couple things that are interesting here. This build has a massive Sid Randall weakness. We just don't have an out to it. The biggest things that stand out to me are Ezale as an extra backup. Usually you see just Meath and Larsa. Ezale's nice. I mean, guaranteeing access to Laswell obviously is crazy, as is, you know, getting Renoa. I feel like if you're on 3 Ezale, you really only need the 2 Renoa, right? Like, doesn't this go fetch this when you need it? So that's like the only thing I don't love about this. And then also, like, it doesn't really do what Meath and Larsa do. Some other stuff, I don't like the one of like Crystal Ramza. Like, there's so few ways to gain crystals. Like, I guess like with Agrius's attacks, but we're only on 2 Agrius, and we've got like the 3 Lilith. Okay, sure, but is that worth like? I remember seeing one game in Swiss where Jonathan got name locked under Ramza because this Ramza was stuck on the field and couldn't get it off. I don't know. Like, that one's a little bit strange to me. I guess our out is Leela, but like, I don't. Leela's such a scary card to rely on as your only out to Citadel because of. I mean, your Citadel's an ice. It's very easy to dull freeze this card over and over and over again until the game is over. And like, the Citadel doesn't have to be on the field the entire game. It just has to be on there long enough for the ice player to actually build resources while the ice player doesn't have a chance to play. So, obviously, it worked really well in the day. It's not my favorite Knights build, but it is going to be very good at the one thing it does, just with, one teensy tiny weakness. Second place, we're seeing more Realm decks start to kind of re enter the format. This is Earth, Water, Realm. And, I mean, outside of the matchup against Knights, this deck looks really cool. I really don't see how this deck is meant to play against Knights. Like, it's so all in on monsters that it's even on Cleone, which is cool because, I mean, it turns off a card type from the opponent, but it also, like, your Knights opponent is very happy to see a Cleone on the field because it means that there's, like, no worry of an Amaterasu or a Mist Dragon. And this deck doesn't have a way of proccing the Cleone itself. There's no, like, Lightning Mira to like send it to the break zone to draw a card, right? It's just like it's Amaterasu protection for Realm, which is really nice, but it's a pretty big cost that you can't threaten Amaterasu or Mist Dragon yourself. So I'm not sure how much I love this without, like I said, kind of the Mira to make it a one-sided floodgate. I mean, one cost Mira is obviously really strong. The one is Stola because we're on the 3 Lena. You can Lena back the Stola. I kind of like it. 3 Go-Go. So we're on the Go-Go plus Hippocampos line. It's definitely, like, really strong if you can get this to resolve. You can, like, go to your turn, play Go-Go before they have a chance to do anything. Go-Go, Hippocampos, and then, or Dole the Go-Go and 2 backups to use the Hippocampos cleave, and then, like, do 10k to your opponent's whole field. But that is a very late game scenario. The 3 Realm, obviously, it's one of the best cards in the deck. And just 1 Gao was actually kind of surprising to me as well. Like, I would, like, kind of add a second, go to 2 Go-Go, 2 Gao, personally, but for the monsters, we're on a Tomos Evere, running 2 of each. This is kind of like how you run the Goblin plus a Tomos in the Tori Kelly builds, basically. I mean, it's almost every off of Realm is kind of like Realm playing 3 backups from the deck, which is just wildly powerful. The biggest problem is that a lot of the other cards in this are not quite as strong. I mean, Zombie and Blue Worm are fantastic, obviously, and Tomberry is like decent, especially if you compare a Tomberry with a Gao. So it's like Schrodinger's Tomberry. Nobody knows how big it actually is when it's attacking. That I think helps a lot. Armin, Phoenix, we really don't have a lot of easy ways to get into play. Kind of wonder if there's a better option for this card. And then the one Artemisian I do love in the backups. I think this card is criminally underplayed. It's just a free mulligan. If you see this card and you don't like the rest of the hand, if you can play this card, you can mulligan your entire hand away for free. Animist, obviously, in any Earth Water monster list is really strong. The Lenas are good. This Blue Mage showed it for the first time. This is another way of getting the Phoenix into play on your opponent's turn. And Blue Mage doesn't play the monster dull. I mean, the biggest issue with this is that Phoenix is not... Or, like, Blue Mage is not searchable. Like, I almost wonder, like, we have, like, 1, 2, 3, 4 standard unit backups. Like, if we could play, like, a Warrior of Light forward over here for, like, the EX burst, guarantee access to these, run... that's a water and earth backup. Like, a pretty notable thing this deck could be doing to increase its power level, I think. Also ups the EX burst count. This deck definitely was struggling against aggro, and part of that, I think, is the low burst count. The Epitaph, this allows you to search out the Mira. Not on Kolka, which I guess makes sense. I guess Sarah still gets Epitaph and Lena, so that works. Epitaph being our Earth King of choice. Because there's no situation where we want Kolka here, because our 2 Earth forwards are both Crystal Chronicles. The 3 Tyro, the full 3 Shantotos. This makes sense. You have to wipe the board, and Shantoto's a lot of times a one-sided board wipe in this deck. So it's interesting. Like, I definitely get what the deck is going for. In a lot of, like, the Refia does not run any way to deal with monsters other than this Shantoto. Now, the one thing I will say is this deck doesn't have a cancel for the Shantoto, and something that I have been able to do in Refia lists is hold the Shantoto in the LB deck and just ramp backups, and just guarantee that I can do the Shantoto at any time, so that my opponent's, like, Realm setup just doesn't quite work. But, I mean, also watching these games, once the Realm resolves and they get, like, you know, the Evray, it's almost, they can start pushing damage very quickly, which is really scary. Once the mirror loops start going and everything else. So, definitely a powerful list. I'm a little bit surprised that, A, we haven't seen this do well previously, and B, I'm also surprised this didn't struggle more with the Field of Knights. Like, this just feels like I don't know if, like, Tori Kelly winning kind of brought people back onto Realm or not, but it seems like that's definitely a card to look out for. Going through the rest of these, we have Earth, Water, Chaos, Arc. This is extremely standard, even on the 1 Mind Flayer. I'm really not a Mind Flayer truther in this deck. I'm a big fan instead of running the Anima, just so that you can... But this isn't on the backup Una, which is what makes Anima really good. Surprised we're not on backup Una, actually. I mean, we have the Rydia. Like, sure, you almost always search Ico with Rydia, but, like, sometimes you draw Ico, right? And, I mean, we can go Garnet plus Arc or Ixion, but that's, like, not fantastic either. I feel like just the secondary Rydia target would be really potent here. Astrologian, 2 Loporrit. I like Loporrit and Chaos Arc to put back. Like, not extra arcs. I think more arcs are usually good, but, like, drawing multiple Chaoses can be really unfortunate. Loporrit lets you turn this into real cards. I really like that. Astrologian stacking EX burst is obviously really strong as well. Really not too much that's surprising here. I don't see any, like, crazy techs. And then Karan playing Refia control. 3 Zidane, sure. This is a big difference between North American Refia control lists and Japanese ones. Japanese ones are almost universally on 2 Zidane. North America seems to value it a lot higher, so you can expect to see 3. I know that this is effectively Mike Powell's list. Something else we're starting to see happen in lists for at least North America is we're seeing a lot more two ofs for Sarah FFL without the Firewater Ferris to search. So, like, usually what I'll do when I'm playing this Sarah is I'll search the Firewater Ferris and the four color Warrior of Light. But without that, you have to kind of search a card you don't want to search. Like, you can search one copy of Warrior of Light, which is good because it helps color fix you, but you want to leave at least like two in the deck if you can. So then you have to like search like either a Refia or a Ferris before you're really online if it's your first backup. So I can see the logic on this going to two, but I mean the job is so important, and like having consistent access to Sarah is so strong as well. Like she does do the entire thing by herself. She gets you Ferris and Arc, or Refia and Arc. You know, just like whatever you need, Sarah does it. So I've even seen like people like Amaterasu this, and you just like that makes her feel so good. Other than that, this is very standard. Another Refia control list. Exact same deck. I guess we're on one Shantoto, two Sarah FFL is like the only difference. I mean, these lists are very standardized now, which makes sense. I do think it's the best deck in the game currently. We have a tricolor water, ice, lightning, Giga Wall. I still wonder, like, I know that, like, Arya and Sarah and Larsa are so good in this deck, but, like, man, you're stretching for, like, Glaciella is not amazing. Lena's, like, fine. Like, is 14 water cards enough to cast these consistently? And, like, if it's not, I Giga Wall list can win without resolving Giga Wall. Like, that's, like, the biggest thing that, like, really is a thing to me, like doubling up on this remedy as well, like especially with only like one Sid. Like we saw that Knights is really starting to kind of do better and better over time as people are getting better at piloting the deck. Should we like start bumping this and like cut the remedy down a little bit? I mean, Axis obviously is insane. Onion Knight's like just fine. I don't think I've very rarely seen this card ever even cast. It's just like occasionally a sticky forward that happens to pay for Sarah. I mean, I really like the Ice and the Lightning, but I really think that like people need to be experimenting with fire. Cards like Princess Goblin or Meath, for instance, I think could really go a long way towards just upping the power level. Even if the consistency goes down a tiny bit, um, I think the deck is strong enough to be happy with that. This is the Alex Hancock's Giga Wall, so we're on Fire, Ice, Lightning. I think the Lightning cards or Fire, Ice, Water. I think the Lightning cards are better than the Fire cards, but I think the Fire cards are better than the Water cards. Interesting to see this Lena show up here. I'm surprised that like if you're on this build, the people aren't playing more like Refia control Giga Wall. You know, Refia is a 3 cost. Ferris is obviously a 3 cost and extremely powerful. Onion Knight's a Warrior of Light, a job Warrior of Light. You can run the Lena forward or the Lena backup. Like, it really is not hard to get the 3 Warrior of Lights for Refia, which is why we played it in the Winter Cup. It was like Refia control Giga Wall. I don't know. I get what this is going for, but I mean, again, see stuff like the remedy and wonder like, is this really? I actually would be on the Opus 13 remedy personally. I just think it's a lot more impactful than this one is. So we have another Knights list. This is like a mid-range Knights. We're on like even like Sarah Ovelia, like Sarah Edgar Ovelia. Still have 29 Knights. Interesting that we're on Ovelia. And we're not on. We're on one drop Agrius. This card's better than I was giving it credit for. I think there were a lot of situations where I saw this card sneaking lethal where it couldn't otherwise, and it does. Like, the body size is a bit of a problem. I think there's like interesting things here. Only 2 delete is actually really surprising as well. I guess we're making room for the backups however we can. Mute, Sid Randell. I guess like we can go Sarah for mute, mute for Sid Randell. But I don't like 2 mutes, 1 Sid Randell. I would like my Garnet ratios to be a little better than that. Cosmos as well. It's the first time I've ever seen Cosmos show up in a Knights list. It's okay. I mean, it's nice. Like, you want to be on like 1 backups, 2 backups, or 3 backups in Knights, and like Cosmos does fulfill that. But I think that lacking the Moody here, so we can't like we have a lot less consistent access to our Ramza and our Corilla. I think Moody's ability to get like the Amaterasu as well, or not Meath. I always say Moody. Meath. Meath getting Amaterasu is so like mission critical sometimes. We do have the Larses, I guess. So, but like even like Edgar for Meath pitch deleted. We're only on 2 deleted 2 Steiner, so maybe we just don't have enough multi element cards for Meath. So this is basically the Tori Kelly Fire Water Realm with some changes. We're on Jekt, which is so like Jekt with the Goblins is a really powerful package. I don't like giving up the Furians though. Furian and the Minwu, like Furian and Minwu, I thought were like the best cards in this deck and the one that like really made it shine. Jekt is really good. Like I think one of Jekt's biggest strengths is when you play it for free off of a Minwu, who is not in the list at all. We have our Bahamut Cullen that gives us an out to a Sid Randell. That makes a lot of sense. We're on Bomb over like the Blue Worm. Buffosaur is really good. Getting yourself a free point of damage and like threatening removal on like basically like a trap hole effect is actually like this card's a lot better than people realize. And we have a lot of backups. Wonder why we're on this Vivi. Like it's okay at like popping out like a Laswell, but I mean we're not our EX burst count isn't high enough to consistently get the bursts off. I guess it's like another name for a Mont Blanc. If we're on these backups, I like the Rain. Rain is really like kind of cute here. And the Lena at 2 makes sense because we can't Furion for it. Like we can't like revive Furion or Minwu with Lena. Blue Mage, that's another kind of addition. You can kind of trade in and it's almost or something for a draw. And then like reviving Phoenix in your opponent's turn is really cool. Loperit, Edgar, Merrill. Oh, we're not on the Warrior package at all. So that's another change. Yeah, there's no Tyvis. We're on a much higher monster count instead. High monster, high backup count. Really strange take on the list. I feel like Minwu with the goblins is just so good. I'll have to think on this one a little bit. I think I like Tori's better, but I can see this one being quite strong. So you have a Giga Wall list that I think is 4-color Giga Wall. Yeah, we're even on like the 1 copy of the Stola. Again, like you see the water count, we're on 15, 3 on Unite, 1 Mog. I like Mog. Like Mog is a great hit off of Warrior of Light still. Ariel, Larsa, Sarah, Lena. But like, does any of that feel great other than the Leo as well? But like, Surges kind of can do Leo's job in this list, as can like even a Zach plus a Stola can actually be really impactful, or like Zach plus Axstar, and like Axstar is really good in Giga Wall lists. Only 1 Axis as well. Like if you're playing Lightning, that's like the reason to be on Lightning. I think in Giga Wall is Axis. Being able to just mill 3 and kind of set yourself up for your Greg without having to like find 2 copies of Warrior of Light for the special, or to like have the special on command, I think is really good. Crystal Bahamut because we have the Cyan. I think that's our only crystal card is the Cyan. Oh, I guess we have the crystal backups as well. I mean, you just need something to kill Citadel. I like that. I think Moody is fantastic in here. Yeah, it seems solid. Again, do wonder about the water still. Ray, this looks like Refia control. It is. Pretty much nothing spicy here. We have Anthony's Mono Wind. This is pretty much the same as he played in Chicago. You're starting to see a lot more of the 3 Zidanes and Mono Wind. Just feels like the deck just kind of runs out of gas more. Zidane helps that problem a lot. And, man, 2 Shinryu still scares me. 3 Yufis, this kind of gives you like a game plan against Knights, as does like the Goddess can be really impactful against Giga Wall. But shout out to this guy seeing him play actually. 2 mana that gives you your bursts, which is cool. 1 Nash. Yeah, we're on the Sky Pirate backup engine just so that we can have a better chance of finding Philo. Have Kites as an alternate target from the Philo, which is good. This card's actually a lot better than people get it credit for. I've actually been kind of wondering if people shouldn't be on the Viera engine because it adds 3 EX bursts to your list, as well as giving you a second water backup if you did want to go for a Tidus off of like a Poo-Poo or a Cucullin. Just like like 1 copy of Fran, 1 copy of Mirn, and 3 Jote. You can run the 3 Pinello with the 2 Philos, and you can kind of have like 2 search targets for Pinello, and you can even run this Kites now. Kites has a lot of extra targets that will activate him so he comes in untapped, which then lets you play like a Mina on curve. Could be really, really, really impactful. Or like play Evray turn 1 on curve. Could be really cool. I think I covered this a little bit though when we talked about Chicago. Big Ice. This looks like, yeah, this is Rufus Rug. So this actually did really well in Japan, but it was played actually very differently. Wow, this I've not seen the Snow Lightning combo in a while. Instead of Rug in Japan, they're on the Opus 15 Noctis, with the idea being that party attacking with like this red mage is really powerful. So I wonder if that's something we're going to see more in North America. I mean, the Rug Rufus combo is so strong, obviously, but I think the idea in Japan is that Rufus already represents a threat, so just increasing his threat level on the turn he comes in isn't as big a deal because he's already having a threat level. But Noctis, you know, if you have like Argath, Laswell, Rufus, and then you go like a Noctis, like you can then party attack for 3, draw a card, get a card back with Rufus your opponent's on an empty hand, or like dull freeze more characters. Just ends up kind of like stunning your opponent in a way that like this deck doesn't necessarily like. It's not scared to do. Also, just see this like the back attack Mustadio in here. I guess like it's just a free forward is the idea. You like make them discard and just get like a free body. It's kind of an interesting concept. Lufenian obviously is really impactful backup. The only other thing I will say that's like kind of strange is like if what the right backup count is, because like usually these decks are built to play on 0 backups. I mean, even. I guess like these are odd and these are odd, and this is odd, but like the lightning is meant to be played with snow for basically free. I almost wonder if like, oh no, snow is, I was gonna say the Zayzat, but like that's a different thing. You need to be able to revive like a 1 cost forward for Zayzat. So it's I mean, this is not my favorite type of list, but I mean, these are very difficult to play against. Celas, another like really strong party attacking forward. This is basically, yeah, this is kind of the KP Giga Wall. Almost unmodified. We're not even on like the second idea or anything like a lot of people started shifting towards. So, yeah, I mean the ratios are exactly the same there. The 1 Ixion. I wonder if this is a mistake. Like, this should just be like one copy of Lightning to get back the Ixion if you mill it. You don't need 3 Clouds or 3 Victorias. Put like a Lightning or a second Lightning if, like, for some reason the second Ixion's important. Like, that's the whole point of this card, I thought. Like, you mill it with the Axis, pull it back, and then use the Ixion. So this doesn't seem correct to me, but we have Ice Lightning. I believe this actually is doing very well in Japan at the moment. This is a take on Ice Lightning. Holy cow! Playing what I consider to be one of the worst legends of all time. So it's like Crystal Ice Lightning. You have like Wall Trail Northstall in this package that like really hasn't seen a lot of play. You have the Venera, the 3 Lilith, without even having the Melocene in here is really surprising to me. Charlotte's obviously like a pretty good card. I 2-0 without Glaciella? It's like a sticky body that generates a crystal in entry. I mean, Astos is very good if you can untap, so like I sort of get that, but this man in black over the 5 cost as well. Only one Emina is very surprising. Yeah, I really don't know what to make of this one. I would have to play it to really gauge it. The only other thing I will say is this probably gets a lot better next set. I actually think that Venat is like a huge upgrade over like every other Crystal White Dark card. So and then lastly, Anthony, I commentated this deck twice, I believe, but it's a Balthier deck. It's all about using Balthier with a huge number of characters, cards like Ghost. Ghost plus Balthier is like 1 CP, 6K ping. The biggest issue this deck has, and the reason why I haven't really played a ton of Balthier decks, is just how many windows of vulnerability Balthier has. And sure, you can have this Fran to protect the Balthier from abilities, but like your opponent can let you like try to storm off a little bit on Balthier and then just go, yeah, no, and then cast a Amaterasu like right before one of your things is about to die. Like the combo with the Balthier discard Fran, turns him into like a Fina, so that puts us like a body on field, and then that continues to ping. But it is a 2-card combo that is not searchable. Ghost with Cerberus is really cool, by the way. I was like very pleasantly surprised like that. Using that Ghost plus Typhon, so Typhon comes in like at the end of the turn. Really made this card look really good. Which I guess is probably, I guess it wasn't printed in the same set, but Ghost plus Balthier is really solid, as is like Ghost plus Typhon, Ghost plus Cerberus. You can kind of like crack your Ghost to draw a card or break something. Also, it was a fat Chocobo deck, which you could get to enough characters to make this like a 5 or 6 cost summon, which is really, really strong. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing that's like a little bit interesting is this. I've like wondered if this was going to be like a direction that Win could push towards. Like, you'll notice there's no Luso in this list, but like it seems like between like Balthier and Ace, they really want Win to be this like build a board, play a bunch of characters onto the field deck. And I mean, Balthier and Ghost support that playstyle, and like Luso doesn't necessarily, because a lot of times the easiest way to proc Luso is Chocoboing it back to your hand and replaying it, or Chocoboing Lulu back to your hand and replaying it. I don't think that Citra is the correct choice here. I this should just be Lulu, or like Lulu and Citra. Yes, Citra has the burst, but you have 5 bursts. There's just not enough burst to make it really a consistent thing you can do, and because you can't make it consistent, you should just play the one that's in color. That also has like some situational other utility. Like you could like Chocobo, Lulu, set it back down, Balthier does the damage, and you can like kill something with like the Lulu Chocobo Balthier combo. But like when you have 5 bursts, the fact that Citra has a burst doesn't make her better than Lulu. I feel like. Yeah, if it's anything crazy in the backups. But I mean, that's the list from Ottawa. So yeah, definitely let me know what you guys think of some of these lists and if these really pop out at you. I think it's a really interesting meta. Like I said, I've had a lot of more fun playing this meta than I thought I would at the start of the set. I really was not looking forward to big tournaments, but the more I've played, the more I've really kind of like started to come around on everything, except for playing against knights. I really don't like playing against knights, but yeah, thanks for watching.